Hey guys, I have been out running errands. It's Monday and holiday, which is funny because I had to work and my husband was off. So he has been home all day with the dogs and I've been out running some work errands. But I wanted to hop on real quick and record just an intro this week. I felt like I kind of left you guys without some connection because I didn't get on the camera with my face. I was sick and I didn't feel good and it was late and I was rushing and blah blah blah, and this week I didn't want to do that, so wanted to pop on. My name is Jennie. I'm the creator at Absolutely Handmade. I've had Absolutely Handmade open, gosh, since I had my daughter 19 years ago. It's just evolved with time, so at this point I'm doing a lot of IOD. I use a lot of Fusion and paint couture paints. I'm doing a lot of thrift flips. My garage is full of thrift stuff. I have a building full of thrift stuff. We're gonna spend some time trying to get all that converted over so it can go to my booth at Brass Armadillo in Goodyear, Arizona. This week I kind of introduced the IOD stuff to you guys on the last video, so this week I wanted to pop on and show you. First, we'll start with the molds. So we're going to use a couple of the molds, and I was dying to get my hands on the Santa sleigh one. I had in my head the way I wanted something to look, and it did not turn out the way I wanted it to. But I'm going to go ahead and show it to you guys because I feel like it's always important to me when I see other creators show their failures or things they consider not their favorite things, along with the things that they love. I'm also trying to show different skills and different skill sets, I guess. The different techniques with the waxes and the paints, milk paint versus the fusion paints or the paint couture acrylic paints. I've also got chalk paints we'll get into that I love. And the Santa sleigh one did not turn out the way I wanted it to because I was trying so hard to keep the stainless steel backdrop, and you'll see in a minute in the video what I'm talking about. I just don't love it. So leave me your thoughts below in the comments and let me know what you think. If you thought it was a disaster, kind of like I did, I just kept adding to it, hoping it would get better, and finally I just decided I had to stop because it wasn't improving. I also kind of tested my hand at doing some free form painting, which I don't normally do. Normally I'm kind of you paint from this line to this line, or you paint this color because it's this color, and this week I wanted to try my hand at kind of swishing paints together and creating kind of a different looking backdrop. You'll see what I'm talking about shortly in the video as well. And then the last one is kind of an easy, what I would call an easy peasy craft. I just wanted to show something simplistic because I feel like part of what I love about YouTube creators and what they do is showing different techniques that everyone can do. So I want you to see something easier to do. I want you to see something that's kind of a mid-level, and I want you to see something that I would consider a little bit more difficult whenever possible. Obviously, some of my crafts are just going to be super easy or super whatever. You know, they might be hard to you because it's not something you normally do. But I want you to see those things. The point in getting on YouTube is just to expose people to the things that I do, because I love doing them, and I love the fact that other creators share their expertise on how they get things done, and that's how I've learned a lot. As a matter of fact, we call it YouTube University because we get on in our household and learn how to do all kinds of things. So it was just important to me to be a part of that community because I'm actually friends with several YouTube creators, and I feel like they do a lot to help people kind of maintain our sanity, because I feel like crafting is kind of my outlet. So I want to do the same for you guys. So anyways, without further ado, quit gabbing, and we're going to get into the video. So I love to thrift, and I found 20 plus of these signs in one of the thrift stores that I visit frequently. So I grabbed them because I wanted to show you guys that you can take some acetone, which I just got through showing you, and clean it off. Whoa, that was really fast. Sorry guys. Still learning how to do the video, so bear with me. This is the Santa sleigh mold. I had a vision for this sign, and this is the one that I mentioned earlier, just did not go the way that I wanted it to. In my head, I was trying really hard to leave that background, the stainless steel, and I don't like it. So in the comments below, tell me what you think about this when we get to the end and I kind of show you how it ends up looking, because I just kept working on it and kept working on it and kept working on it. And finally, I was like, you know what? I've got to call it. I can't keep messing with this thing. It is not improving, and I just don't love it. But I've also learned over the years that just because I don't love it doesn't mean that someone else may not love it. So I've learned to just kind of stop. Here you see me using the AirDry clay, and I use Jovi AirDry clay, which I'll have listed in the description box below and a link to that on Amazon. Use the clay. I'm still learning this. I love using clay. I think next time I'm going to try using a rolling pin and roll out the back so it's nice and flat, because you can see it's kind of got dimples and puckers. And you guys, I'm still learning the video editing too, and I'm sitting here watching this going, oh lordy, this is just, I'm showing all of this and I didn't need to. And then here you see me kind of struggling to get out of the mold. Do as I say, not as I do. Actually, now I'm doing it correctly. So you want to use the cornstarch before you put the molds in. Obviously, I didn't do that with the Santa sleigh. I just slapped the clay in and it struggled a little bit to come out. So on this reindeer, I definitely made sure to use the cornstarch. I will say, I'm still getting over being sick, guys, so bear with me. I will say that the reindeer, I think honestly would have done a lot better. Actually, the whole project. These little fragile pieces you'll see as I kind of go through this. I fight with those legs on those reindeer a couple of times. They broke. I had to kind of piece them back together and glue them, you know, where they needed to be. I was trying to be good and use the clay because it's just supposed to be more user friendly, and it's more accessible than the resin. A lot of people don't like to use it. So I'm trying to, as I mentioned before, use things that just anybody can do. And the clay is pretty readily available. I mean, like I said, I'm going to provide the link. So easy to order it, can be at your doorstep, you know, within a couple of days. The resin takes a little bit more know-how, a little bit more setup. You kind of have to be a little bit more ready for it. You gotta learn how to mix it. It's a little bit more of a mess. I mean, this is kind of a mess, but it's more just a mess on your hands. And I don't know why I'm showing you exactly how I did this reindeer down to the smallest detail, but here it is, sped up times, I think 5. So if you want to see it in real life, slow it down a lot. But I ended up making this one, and I flexed the mold and kind of tease his little fragile legs out of the mold, and then he just rolls right out, his body does. And I have to say the detail on these IOD molds is gorgeous. I always love their molds. I ended up making 2. I didn't show you the second one because goodness knows we took long enough to show that first one. Now I decided to use Paint Couture's acrylic mineral paint it's highly pigmented, so it's really great coverage. This color was Barn Door. I didn't show you how to paint the molds. I figured that was kind of self-explanatory. I wanted to test my hand at milk paint. I've never used it before. I just used one, honestly, I think that was a teaspoon. It didn't take very much of London Fog from Fusion Milk Paint, and 1 teaspoon of water as well. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And then I painted the whole thing, and I kind of put it on thick because I wanted it to crack. I wanted you to see that red undertone from the paint. And that paint's really awesome, that red Barn Door paint, because it's self-leveling, it's a primer, it's a paint, highly pigmented paint, and it has a top coat. So you don't have to do anything. I just put, I think, 2 coats because I was trying to make sure they were really good and coated. I'm a 2-coat person. I have a hard time doing 1 coat of anything. I just feel like paint needs 2 coats in general, but you'll see right here, the London Fog did 2 coats of the milk paint. I was trying to get the camera to focus so you can kind of see the crackling on his neck. And then I went back in with just a wet wipe. I have a favorite wet wipe from Walmart that I use. It's over usually in like the health and beauty area. They call it an aqua wipe, so it's a water wipe. And it's great for stuff like this, to try and kind of rub some of that off and get some of that red showing. Now here you'll see I'm sealing in the milk paint. You have to seal milk paint because it can be reactivated with any kind of liquid such as the wipe. So you definitely want to use a clear wax first. You can see his little legs are flying around because at this point they've all broken off. I was so flustered because they were just snapping and breaking. And then after I got done with the clear, to kind of seal it all up so that that color stays and I can wipe back to it if I want to, still went over the little pieces. They took a few minutes. Then I cracked open a can of black wax. And I'll provide the links for these waxes as well. These were some that I researched for quite some time and kind of felt comfortable with them. They're a good price and a good, I felt they were a good value. You get a lot of wax for the amount of money you spend on them, and they're super safe to use, so no worries, no fumes, no nothing like that. They're awesome. Here I am fighting the legs again. Those legs gave me such a nightmare. Use resin, guys. Like, if you're scared of resin, this is a good project to overcome that fear, because it definitely would have made life a lot easier had I used resin. Then I'm taking just a regular shop cloth and wiping back all that dark black, because I really wanted you to be able to see all the detail on the Santa. Well, all the detail on all of these molds, actually. The reindeer had a ton of detail on them as well. But I really wanted to wipe it back so you could see the red crackle that had come through the melt paint, see that, you know, all the detail on the mold itself. Whoop, now his antler snapped. You guys, seriously. This one was a test of my patience. And I have a good bit of that, but not when parts just keep snapping off like crazy. Spinning them around, cleaning them up, laying them out, kind of get an idea of what I think about them. And then I'm like, you know, they're too dark. So I went back with the London Fog and just kind of dry brushed over it as best I could with that melt paint, so I could brighten it back up and still leave those details darker, because I really wanted you to see the really deep details with that black wax. And I'm not sure if maybe a glaze would have been better. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with this one again, because this may not be my last attempt at this one. It may just be a different approach. I really think it would have been prettier if I had gone with a black background and then done Santa in a really light with just the hints of the detail on him. So that's what's in my head next. I may have to try it again. So now we're laying them out, testing all those broken little legs, using professional Loctite super glue. It's my favorite super glue. Next to some of the fast drying glues that you can spritz with the aerosol and it dries it within like 2 seconds. This is probably my favorite one next to that. Getting them all lined up and all the body parts reconnected. And then I sat and glanced at it, wasn't real sure still. So y'all see it at the end. I'll give you a whole preview of what it ends up looking like. Then we moved on. I had this one in mind next. I wanted to try and use that Santa taper and the little star taper next to it. And I've got a good bit of project worked on for this one. And again, with the AirDry clay, using the Jovi clay. And I don't think it was the clay. I've had the same issues with like really small details and parts breaking when I used, I've also used DOS AirDry clay. Not sure if I'm just not a clay expert or if I'm just too rough with them or what, but maybe I'm a rough crafter, and that's kind of why this may not have been. Maybe that's why I like the resin more. They're a little bit more durable. I'm also a clean crafter. If you notice, I keep going in and dabbing, trying to get all the little pieces up because it was making me mad that they were everywhere. I don't like my molds super dirty. I don't like to have to clean up a whole lot, so I kind of clean as I go. I don't know if you're like that or not, but I do that at home too. Like when we cook, I like to clean my dishes and things as we go, because I can't stand a big mess at the end. It just drives me crazy. So put it in the comments if you're similar to that, or if you have any other little, nuances. Here we are, flattening the back. You can see I'm using my fingers. A lot of people use their thumbs. I find I have more control with my finger, my forefinger. Then I had to get the star taper next. And I'm actually going to end up making 2 of these. And again, with just the pulling away with the IOD molds, they've got that micro rim, which makes it so much easier. Whether you're doing the clay or the resin, it's great for both, because you can fill it just right up to the lip. And if you're careful, which I try to be when I'm pouring my molds, it doesn't usually pour over too easily because that micro rim keeps it in. So with the air dry clay, it's pretty awesome because you just kind of smash the clay against it and it tears it off for you, so you get a nice clean edge. And again, I don't know why I'm showing you this long, and it's again sped up times like 5. So this is in really fast mode. So don't, if you're doing this yourself, don't think that you can go this fast. You're gonna have to slow down quite a bit and get it in there real good to make sure it's nice and impressed in that clay for when you roll it out. You'll notice I learned my lesson though. I did put the cornstarch in first, so it'll release like it's supposed to. Okay, then we roll it out and let gravity help us. If you flex that mold, it helps it come out a lot easier. Now this is Paint Couture, and it is in brilliant white. It's actually a heavy metal metallic paint. I'm sorry, here I'm just putting on the brilliant white to start with. I wanted to do a base coat. In a little bit you'll see me add the brilliant white and I'll explain more about it. But this is that same acrylic, self-leveling, primer, highly pigmented paint, and sealer all in one. So you get that little tiny jar of paint and it does a ton of work for you. This was a sign I got from Hobby Lobby clearanced, and I'm going to put that Dixie Belle Boss primer on top of it to help drown out that photo. I try to go and catch like Hobby Lobby's pictures a lot of times at the end of the year. My husband will laugh because I'll spend a couple $100 sometimes buying blanks, is what we essentially call them. But I'll buy signs that don't have anything super interesting or something they've clearance down to a couple dollars the last week of the year, right after the first of the new year. Usually they'll discount them down to like 10%, 90% off the whole price. So I got most of those types of signs for $1.50 to $3. I didn't spend hardly anything, and I just go in and turn around something else. Now in this one I grabbed a whole bunch of different color blues. I saw another creator, and I'll have to go back and figure out who it was, but she was showing how she just kind of smushed the paint on and went to different variations of different colors and kind of, you know, smushed them all together to get this really cool effect. And I was wanting like a night sky is what I was going for, but I wanted it to be darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. So you can see I kind of start with the dark blue, and then I go to one that's a little bit more muted. And then as I go down, I start getting some of the lighter blues. I didn't wash my brush. I'm not changing my brush, so whatever paint's on there is kind of helping get pulled through the whole canvas. And you can see as I get further down, that's actually another blue. I believe that's called Lanai maybe. It's another, all these are Paint Couture acrylic paint, so that's still what I'm using is acrylic paint. Now one of the problems I was having here is we live in Phoenix, and we are, even in October, still in triple digits. So despite having my house air conditioned, obviously, because we want to be comfortable in our own home, it's hot and it's dry, and the paint is drying really fast. So trying to blend these paints so that the colors kind of all swish together while they're wet is kind of a task when you have no humidity and no moisture in the air. So I kept having to kind of go back over it and do smaller sections to blend in the darks and the lights. And again, not washing my brush. I wanted all this streaky, you know, really what we call muggled look to it. And I wanted it to be, I don't know, I just had it in my head how I wanted it to look. And this was that project I had mentioned in the intro that, you know, it's not something I normally do. It's something I wanted to try. It's something I would consider harder to do. And honestly, it was super easy. It just is not something that's usually in my wheelhouse. So I wanted to try something different this time and show you guys that you can try things that you haven't done before. And in this case, it's paint. If you don't like it, you just keep adding more paint. If you don't like a dark spot, add some light. If you don't like the light, add some dark. And here I'm trying to do like a rounded, I want it to be kind of like a rounded haze. So you'll see I'm adding that lighter color at the bottom, more in like a rounded section at the bottom. Sorry guys, again, I'm trying to, that was where I was trying to get more of like the mid-tone blues in the middle. I promise. There's a picture in my head I'm trying to replicate. And it's slowly getting there. You can kind of see where it's a little streakier sometimes, and that's again because no humidity and lots of heat. So even right now in monsoon season, it's been pretty dry. I don't remember the last time it rained, so if that tells you anything, it's been a dry summer. All right, so I'm getting to the point where I'm pretty satisfied with it. It still feels like it's missing something, and we'll get to that in a minute. There's my tapers all lined up. And this is where I go back in and add that brilliant white. It's heavy metal metallic, so it's not a joke on the label. It is heavy metal. There's metal pieces, metal particles in the paint. You have to stir it. It kind of gets clopped at the bottom, which is totally okay and totally normal. It's not bad paint at all. You just have to stir it up. Shaking will not work. You have to actually stir it. But when you get done, it has this brilliant, shiny, and this is white. Like, the white to me looked amazing. It was so, it just like was glowing. It was so pretty. And you'll see here in a minute when I get through showing you apparently how to paint the entire thing, because no one knows how to paint, right? I'm showing you how to paint the third one too. No clue why. On this one I got smart though. I was like, let me hold the big section and I'll paint the little narrow sections first, and then I'll come back and paint the bigger section because it's a little bit easier to do without hanging on to it. So then I was looking at it and I was like, okay. I kept hitting these with my heat dryer, trying to, you know, go ahead and dry them off because I'm an impatient crafter too. I don't like to sit and wait for things to dry. Went back to the board and I was like, it's still missing something on this board. So let's take that brilliant white and one of those water wipes that I love, and let's blend that glossy, shiny white, almost clear paint over and just make it all shine. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I've got a blue in what's called Sea Maven, and it's just a blue glitter. Luxe Metallic is the name of the type of paint from Paint Couture. And I swished that Luxe Metallic at the top, and that really brightened up that dark blue, and then that white just really popped. And it wasn't even really a white when it went on. It was more of like just like a really shiny, bright glaze that went over the paint. So it was really pretty. And I was like, okay, still just something. And no, I know. I kind of freaked out when I first did this. I was like, oh no, I ruined them. Went back with the white, wiped it off. And you guys, this almost looked like sterling silver. It was gorgeous. It got this really pretty sterling look to it. It just reminded me of sterling silver jewelry. And I was like, I love this. It just looked amazing when it was done. The shiny backdrop, and I was like, okay, we're not even going to hesitate. We're just going to go ahead and glue them down because I have it in my head how I want to do this. So Santa's going in the middle, and I kind of wanted to offset the other two and make them a little bit more interesting and visually appealing. And they say when you put things in pictures, you should do them in threes. It just adds interest. Or do them in odd numbers, but I always seem to gravitate towards 3. There's Santa going down the middle. Put him up a little higher so he's got a little bit more visual appeal to him. Then the one off to the left, we drop down just a little bit just to kind of offset it and frame in that Santa real well. And then I loved the right one being dropped down a good bit more. So you'll see here in just a minute. And I broke the bottom of that one too. Guys, I broke every one of my, I swear, every one of my clay molds I seem to have broken this week. It was really frustrating because I know better. I know not to smush on them like that when they're not completely flat backed, and I didn't get them flat backed because I wasn't patient enough getting them in and out of the molds. So patience is a virtue. One day I'll learn that. So there's how it all kind of looks, and you'll see in the end, I left the frame as it is, and I went back and forth on that too. I was like, okay, do I want this this brown frame, or do I want to paint it? I almost whitewashed it. And then I was like, no, I really like the wood look on it. I think it really added something to it. And these were Jingle Bell strings. I had them in my stash. They were silver. I needed something super sparkly and shiny, and I didn't want a lot of bulk or distraction from the molds, so they worked perfect. Put those on, waited for that professional glue to dry. Didn't wait long enough on that one. Again, I'm not a patient crafter. And then voila, Looked gorgeous with that wood frame. Add that same professional glue. And then I was like, oh man, I left the sticker on. I forget my stickers often. So heat gun to the rescue. And we will get that off. All right, takes about, I know this is sped up, but it really didn't take that long to do that. And that's how it ended up. I loved it. Hey guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you're enjoying the projects we're working on this week. If you could, it's a new channel, I'd love your support. If you could like and subscribe and then click the little bell and click all so you can see future videos that I plan to post. It may take me a little while to get into a rhythm of getting these things done on some type of a schedule, but my goal is to post something at least weekly. I really am going to try not to go more than 2 weeks. So again, like, subscribe, share if you could, just to get some more eyes on the projects that we're working on. And definitely comment if you have any suggestions or any thoughts about the things that I'm doing. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys. This is the last craft for the day. I wanted to work on the Bibelots is the name of the mold, B-E-L-O-T-S, if you're looking for it. Again, it'll be in the description box with a link. I do carry the IOD products, so I've got all of these molds in stock. At least for now, they are limited release, so just what I have is what I'll have to offer. Cornstarch the molds, dumped out the extra cornstarch. You see me, that Ziploc bag is super important when you're using AirDry clay, and honestly, the little bit of time I left it open was a big no-no. You really need to close that up every time you get clay out and every time you're messing with it. Make sure you close it right back up, and I actually store mine with a couple of those water wipes stuck in there. And if it starts to kind of dry out on me, I'll use my mister bottle and I'll just spray inside the bag and kind of knead it around so that the water gets blended in some with the clay, and then I'll make sure it's zipped up tight for the next round. Again, trying to flatten these backs. And honestly, you guys, I saw the video come out today with Bailey from Reclaim Grace. You guys check out her site. She's got a lot of cool crafts that she does. But she did the double-sided bibelots, and I almost did that. And kudos to her because hers turned out really cute. I loved them. But I may go back and make a back for these and try to kind of glue them together because I feel like they need to be double-sided. They're cute on their own, but I think they're missing something. I have no idea what just happened there. Why I didn't cut that part out. Sorry, guys. Just sit there with dead air space and nothing happening on the screen. All right. Remember, I'm still learning all of this. This is only my second video, so I'm trying really hard to learn the video editing and all the voiceovers and the cards for YouTube for the, you know, starting up the, or having the picture on the front end of the video, that kind of thing. Intros, outros, all new. So please bear with me. All right, so here's the second one. Flattening it out as best I can. Again, I think I'm going to use a roller next time. I tried to use a credit card, and it kept pulling the mold back out of the clay back out of the mold, so I didn't love that one. I think I'd do better to kind of smush it in and then clean it off again around the edges. And you're seeing me kind of warm that clay up. I know that looks like I just kind of wasted some time with the video, but I'm moving that clay around, trying to get it warm enough that it's easier to work with when I'm putting it in the mold. And just so y'all know, this is that, like I said, it's the Jovi AirDry clay, and I've started having a little bit of like carpal tunnel and a little bit of arthritis in my hands, having trouble opening jars, stuff like that. And this clay is still super easy to work with. So, you know, even if you've got, you know, issues going on with your hands, don't hesitate to try this. It's really fun. It's kind of relaxing. It doesn't look relaxing when it's sped up ×5, but when you're kind of taking your time and doing it, it's a nice craft to just kind of kick back and do. Here we go again, gravity, dropping those out for us. And this is me just kind of rubbing the little bit of like, you almost have like a little bit of like fuzzy clay edge. So I just kind of tap those down and rub them down so that they sit nice and flat and the edges look clean. Now you will see these molds, I mean, I'm pretty much popping them out and painting them instantly. I've heard a lot of creators have an opinion on like what type of brush you should use and when you should, you know, paint. Now I have found that my AirDry clay does not crack as often when I go ahead and paint it almost straight out of the mold. And here we're using DIY cottage colors, so I believe it's vintage pink, and it might be vintage mint too. I can't remember the exact names of them. I know I showed it a second ago in the label so you could read it. But these are the cottage colors. I love these. They're really pretty. Just remind me of old-timey stuff. I don't know. But anyways, I like to paint my molds as soon as they come out of the mold itself. I just think they do better. I don't have nearly as many problems. They seem to, I think it kind of slows down the drying process, so it doesn't, especially here in Phoenix. Like I said, it's hot and there's no humidity, so you really have to be conscientious of what you're doing with your paints and stuff. Even just laying the brush like that for just a minute, my brush will dry out. I have to be real careful to make sure that, like, when I'm ready to start painting again, I kind of take my time and make sure the brush is damp and not got like hardened bristles. And you'll notice laying there, I've got one of those water wipes. Sometimes I'll wrap my brush up in that, just the bristles up in that, so that they don't dry out in between paints. If I'm doing like this and painting kind of in sections. So I did the round one and the little top looking one in the pink. And then did that mint on the other one. I thought that was these were 3 really cute shapes. Let me see if I can get that color real quick for you on the pink. While I'm kind of air drying again, I don't know why I'm showing you how to dry a paint. Sorry. Promise, more interesting content coming. I will say another issue I'm having with the triple digits. It's hard for me to be in a Christmas mood. So sorry about that, I guess. Hopefully I've got some more Christmas ideas that are a little bit more ready by the time Christmas gets closer. I still just feel like I'm kind of far out for Christmas. I know with YouTube and with content creators and crafters in general, like I've been doing crafts for 19 years, Christmas has to be out like between July and October. That's just when people start shopping and when they start looking for it. And it's really hard sometimes to get in the mood to do Christmas and feel inspired to do Christmas activities and Christmas crafts when it's 100 degrees outside. So I've been in Phoenix for 13 years, so it's been something I've been dealing with for quite some time. And again, leaving my brush, I don't know why I keep doing that, because I know better. It's going to just dry up. Normally I wrap it up, probably because this was such a small little section. I didn't feel like wrapping it was necessary. But dry those off, and I'm sure you're noticing, again, I'm a 2-coat person, even though I probably could have gotten away with 1 coat. To me, it just always looks prettier with 2 coats. You make sure you get that really fantastic coverage. You hit every little piece of it, and sometimes it kind of deepens the glimmer and the shine on these metallic paints. And this one was, I believe, rich gold from another heavy metallic or heavy metal metallic from Paint Couture. And I carry these too, so I've got those in stock. If I don't have them in stock on Etsy, shoot me a message and I'll make sure and get it for you the next time I order some. And here I'm like, these just look like super vintage. And I don't know what happened to my coverage, guys, on me putting the little transfers on there. I know it was in there earlier. And here's the review. So there's the Santa, and I added the little ropes in between the reindeer, and see what I mean? It's cute, but I don't love it. So what are your thoughts? Do you like this one or no? I don't know what to think about it. Now the next one, the frame with the Santa taper, I love. I'm trying to get that glimmer on camera for you so you can see it, but you can kind of see it's got that sterling silver look to it. It's just beautiful. And the wood, I think, really popped with it. It turned out really pretty. I like it. It'll go in my shop in Brass Armadillo when I reset for Christmas. Love the detail on those tapers. The sisters did a really good job with that one. And then lastly is the little ornaments. Don't laugh, I don't have a Christmas tree out yet, so we'll use the lamb's ear in my little picture instead. There's each one. They're hanging. Aren't they super cute? I love the bunny and the gingerbread guy and the little deer. Thank you so much for watching this week. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the support on the new channel. Again, share with whoever. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me your thoughts down below, and we will see you next time.